Hi. So how do you know if you're an empath? So what is an empath? Empath comes from the word empathy. Empathy means to be able to step into another person's shoes and see their point of view and feel what they're feeling. Empath basically is a person that is able to be sensitive and connect to other people's emotions and feelings. There are different degrees to being an empath. There's many of us that are empaths. You don't necessarily have to be any trained or whatever. You just intuitively are, or you're not. And you can also work on fine-tuning your skills as an empath simply just by acknowledging that you are one. So an empath basically is very sensitive to other people around them. They feel vibrations, they feel emotions. They walk into a room, and if someone is having, emotional day or whatever, they seem to absorb that energy and internalize it. It's really important to know if you're an empath, because what I see a lot of in my profession is that people think that they are the ones feeling depressed or upset, when a lot of the times it's really that they are empaths and they've absorbed another people's emotional energy, and then they confuse it for their own. And so it's important as an empath to be aware. Empaths are very sensitive to loud music. They don't usually like being around in public places, because again, it's energetic. So the more people that are out there, the more open and they are to absorbing other people's energies. And like anything, there's different degrees of being an empath. I, at 44, didn't even know what an empath was until a year ago. And I certainly didn't realize I was one until this year. Because again, when someone said, I'm an empath, my first impression was, oh, you're this woo-woo, fairy, hippie-like person. And I thought it was nonsense, right? Now that I've studied it more, now that I've become more aware of what it is, and I've learned to sort of work with it as a strength, I realize that, being an empath is a gift, is the biggest gift I have, especially as a therapist, especially as a healer. Being able to help and understand what people are feeling really helps me get in that space of understanding where they're coming from, and then sort of, providing whatever support I'm supposed to provide. And like I said, there's degrees of being an empath. So, for example, my mother is an empath, but she's very selective in opening up her energy field to only us family members. She instinctively knows when one of us is going through a rough time. She just feels, not so great. She's having a rough time, and sure, by the end of the night, she knows that one of us had a rough day. But she doesn't do that with everyone, right? She only intuitively does that with her loved ones, which is her family. I, on the other hand, am an empath, but I can open myself up to whoever I'm working with, right? I can literally open up my heart space and absorb so that I can relate and understand what I'm dealing with, to then, again, be of service. I have other people that I know that are, a lot of teenagers come into the ER when I work with, and some of them are genuinely depressed and have a chemical disorder or imbalance and need psychiatric help. I do see quite a few that actually are simply empaths that just don't know they're empaths, and they think this is their stuff when it's not their stuff. And it's I think one of the things that I'm supposed to do is, help people understand, more about themselves, give people back themselves, right? Is what I say. But I can't give someone back themselves that isn't already there. So if someone is an empath and I'm able to pick up on that, then I can reflect that back to them. And it makes so much sense to them to say, oh, it makes sense that I feel this way. Makes sense that I'm reacting this way. They're all of a sudden, all the stuff that they thought was crazy and they couldn't explain it, all of a sudden it makes sense to them, right? This is really brief in the interest of time, but I would encourage you to Google it. There's tons of YouTube videos. There's tons of little tests you can take. How do I know I'm an empath? Take a few tests and find out. And like anything, there's different degrees of everything, right? So you could be an empath on a very sort of mild level, or you could be an empath where you're completely sort of absorbing everything going on around you, which is not always a good thing, because you do need to, protect your energy field and ground yourself and protect yourself, because you don't want to absorb other people's energies, excuse me, all the time. That's not, unless you're doing it for a purpose. And then again, you want to make sure you're cleansing your energy field. So that brings me to the process of grounding. You know, there's this process of grounding that I intuitively have done but never realized what I was doing until literally a few weeks ago when I saw this video going around on Facebook. It's on grounding, and it talked about, I don't know if it was a neurosurgeon or some kind of medical professional that talks about, you know, the benefits of grounding and how there's so many scientific research studies done since then that, you know, really quantify and justify and explain medically, scientifically, the benefits of grounding. So grounding is pretty much just putting our bare feet on the earth, right? And so one of the things they talked about was, you know, it's the invention of shoes was probably the worst thing for mankind's health, because before that, our feet used to touch the earth all the time. And again, it's all energetic, you know, it's all energies and vibrations and frequencies. So we would literally absorb the energy of the earth through our soles of our feet. And it would do what it needed to do to balance our inflammation, reduce the inflammation, balance the energies, and take away and heal a lot of our ailments, just naturally, energetically. But since the invention of shoes, they said, you know, they gave an example and they said, think about it. A child wakes up and the first thing, or an adult wakes up and the first thing they do is they put their feet on the floor, but they usually don't. They slip into their little, you know, shoes or slippers, the home slippers, right? So immediately you're insulating yourself from touching the floor. And then, of course, you get changed and you showered and, you know, you get off and you get ready and you go to work and you are in shoes. And then after work, you might have some after school activities. You're playing sports, but again, you're wearing sports shoes and you're wearing equipment, you know, and then when you come home, it's the same thing. You know, eventually you go to bed, but having your bare feet barely touch the actual earth. And so, you know, I think it's important that it's not just, you know, your floor at home, although that helps, but it's more important that you're touching, you know, the ground, the earth. And of course, people who live up north, it's not, you know, we're not saying go and touch, you know, walk in the snow and get frostbite, but, you know, definitely, you know, be on the ground level in your home and make sure your feet is touching, you know, feet are touching the ground. But again, I'm at the beach today. You know, it's a beautiful, gorgeous day at the beach. I've got company here, you know, in terms of seagulls, you know, just again, sitting and listening. And, you know, it's just, I know that I feel so much better and just alive when I've spent time outside, you know, on the beach or even just walking in grass, grounding my energy. And so I would encourage you to Google it. I'm sure it's on YouTube already. Look up some videos. But, you know, for everyone, I think you know, as much as you drink fresh water and you drink, you know, you eat a plant-based diet, and you eat healthy stuff, I think it's very important to also, you know, take time to meditate daily and also to make sure you ground your energy daily. I think it's super, super, super important. I think we're just waking up to this, but I bet you anything that in 5 years, 10 years, this is going to be a common practice, you know, where people are taking time to meditate daily and also to ground their energy, because the benefits just are, it's a no-brainer. Anyways, I hope this is helpful. As always, sending love and light. Take care. God bless. And here, check out the view. Take care. Bye.